Hey, what's up, guys? 65 Lokes here, back with another episode for Scale Riders Podcast. This is episode number 124, and my guest for this episode is Gavin Roberts, all the way in Osaka, Japan, part of LUGK Model Car Club. And most of you guys will know him on Instagram. I mean, beautiful work. His Instagram name, Tacotabemasu. So let's go right ahead and hit him up and see what he's been up to. What's up, Gavin? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. You?
Dude, thank you for being on this episode right here. It's crazy because like we were trying to do it earlier, but I'm kind of glad how it worked out that we're at this time right now because I still had like a bunch of stuff to do in the morning too.
Oh yeah, that caught me off guard because I remember saying like give me a 24 hours heads up, and when I woke up I was like, oh, did I miss something?
Yeah. No, it's all good, man. It's all good. So you're a member of LUGK?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And also I wanted to ask you, how'd you come up with your name for Instagram?
I have two. No thought went into it at all. It's my personal account is Tacotabemasu, which means I want to eat tacos.
Oh, nice.
And this one I just did Tacotabemasu because it's like I ate tacos.
Oh, what? I didn't even know
just
that.
It's just the first thing that I thought of.
Yeah.
But it confuses the Japanese though, because taco in Japanese is octopus.
Oh.
And tacos, like Mexican tacos, is tacos with an S. Even if it's just one taco, it's still tacos. So they all think I'm talking about octopus, but I'm not.
Yeah. Right on, man.
I kind of wanted
that. Yeah, that was always like something I wanted to ask you. And so right now you're all the way in Osaka, Japan. And
yeah,
how long have you been living there now for?
In Japan, a little over 5 years. In Osaka, about 3.5, I guess.
Wow. And before that, you were out here in California, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
I lived in California for a few years before I came here just to save money. Like live with my mom and stepdad for a while. But before that, I lived in like mostly Seattle for like on and off for 16 years. Sometimes went back to California. Sometimes one time I lived in like Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, man.
But yes, I was born in Los Angeles in Whittier, but left there when I was like 20.
Yeah. Right on. Were you doing the model cars back then too, or no?
I've done them on and off my whole life. My first one, I was probably like, I don't know, 6 years old.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Pink Revell. Yeah, that pink Revell bug. Yeah. And then when I was in like junior high, I went to a friend's house, like after school, and in the living room, there was this display cabinet with a bunch of like pro-built models, really nice models. And I asked my friend, like, whose are these? What's going on here? And he's like, those are my dad's, And I was looking at him, and it was like the first time I seen bare metal foil, And like I was just blown away, man. And when his dad came home, I started asking him, like, how do you get the chrome trim to look so good? And he's like, oh, it's, this stuff called bare metal foil. And he busts out a sheet and throws some on a pillar and trims it up and shows me. And I'm like, wow, that looks amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He gave me the sheet. He's like, here, take it home, man. Try it out. So I did. And, like the next time I went there, I was like, okay, what about the paint? Like, how do you get the paint to look so nice? Because before that, I was just using like testers, spray cans, and it's like, those are impossible to get a good paint job out of. And he showed me like duplicolor lacquer, and he said that he goes to this paint store and gets like automotive, lacquer. So he gave me some duplicolor paint and some primer, and he's like, here, try this out. And I took some like 68 Camaro and primered it and sprayed it with this blue, and it looked amazing. I couldn't believe like you could get a good paint job out of a spray can, because all I was used to was like enamel. I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then the next time I went there, I was like, okay, how do you make them look so shiny? and he showed me like the micro mesh pads. I think back then it was like LMG made them. They were, 6x5 pads, and it comes with like a rubber thing. And he kind of showed me how to do it real quick, like, get rid of the orange peel and then hit it with the other papers and then polish it. And he gave me like an old kit that he had laying around, and I went home and tried it out, and like all of a sudden I was making like nice models, and I was super excited about it,
Mm-hmm.
And like just since then, I've gone like years building and left the hobby for 10 years and came back and left the hobby. But yeah, man,
That's pretty cool. But it's like something that's always been part of your life.
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tight. On your Instagram, you had posted some photos of some features of your cars that were in magazines back then.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I remember Joe Altered Works, even he was saying that he saw some of your work back in the day.
Yeah, I think he was talking about the Lower Left Coast show, which was probably around 2020-ish.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
When I started building the lowriders, but like I was living in Seattle, and there's not a whole big lowrider scene up there. So I'd hit like the shows in like Vancouver, Canada, Seattle, and Portland. And like there wasn't much competition as far as lowrider category. So I started going down to the Southern California shows also, because it was like more exciting for me,
Yeah, make that drive.
It probably just flew, but it was just nice to see other lowrider models, and not go to a show and be like the only one there with lowriders and like hanging out all day looking at, like hot rods and stuff, which is cool. But like, I'd rather see lowriders all day, because that's what fascinates me.
No, that's cool. And it's a trip. What magazine was it? Scale Auto? Was it also Lowrider Bicycle or just Scale Auto that you were in?
I think I have them sitting right here. I was in a lowrider bicycle, but it was just a couple shots of the like tables. There was 2 pictures. It was actually weird. It was a picture of a couple of my cars, and then there was another picture with like, because my mom and my brother-in-law and sister went with me down there, and it was weird to see like a picture of the table with them standing in the background randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in that, and I was in like model cars a few times and Scale Auto a few times, I think.
Yeah. How was that feeling when you saw your cars printed on paper for the first time, seeing that?
It was pretty cool. Especially like the lowrider, especially the model car and Scale Auto, because they never showcase lowriders, hardly ever, and like to have like the only lowrider in that issue, was kind of cool. Maybe even for that year. I mean, they hardly ever showcase lowriders.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. At that time, when you were coming out to California, was there any cars or anybody that kind of stood out to you that you can remember from that time?
I mean, Mike, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Mike Tellez or Mike Terez?
Mm-hmm.
Mike.
Yeah, I think it's Tellez.
Mike Tellez. Yeah. Do you remember him?
Yes. It's so
Yeah,
crazy you bring him up because
yeah.
recently somebody who friends with me on Instagram, he recently reached out asking about him, and he wanted to know if I had any information on him, and I was like, I don't, but I can ask people, and that's kind of been something that's been on the like behind the scenes trying to figure out where he's at. But it's crazy you bring him up. So you remember him?
Yeah. He from what I heard, he got out of the hobby, sold everything, and just doesn't do it anymore, which is kind of a shame.
Mm-hmm. Dang.
I know he's got I think Tingo's has some of his cars in his collection now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the 50 Chevy pickup, and I think that like pink '66 Riviera that he did. Yeah, I think Tingo's has those in his collection now, but who knows where the rest of his cars are? I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like at the time, like you're making all the. It's like right now, like your cars, man. You have a collection going on, beautiful cars. And what if people start wanting to buy them from you or something? Like the collection gets broken up. It becomes a
Oh
mystery.
yeah,
Like, man, whatever happened? Like, hopefully the cars, if they go somewhere, they go to like someone who will appreciate them and showcase them.
I wonder about what I'm gonna do with those someday. Because I mean, someday I might have 100 of them,
Yeah.
and like we don't have kids, and like my wife doesn't want them, you know. It's like I don't know what to do with them. Maybe like if I get a heads up, like I got 1 year to live, maybe I'll spend a year selling them off.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I mean, it'd be a shame like if I don't do that. Like what if me and the wife die in a car accident one of these days? Like
Uh-huh.
what's gonna happen? The
Model.
owner of the apartment's gonna come in and just like chuck all our stuff in the garbage.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. I hold on to some of them, but there's a lot from the past. It's like they most likely ended up in the trash or somewhere. Maybe my mom's cleaning the room and like, all right, this is going away.
I've definitely thrown some away, like because I moved so much. And there's some old cars that I had that I tossed out, which I wish I hadn't done. But I mean, they weren't on they weren't on the same level as what I'm building now, so it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
The ones I'm building now, I'm not throwing away in the garbage ever.
Yeah, those are keepers. Those are definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, I wanted to congratulate you too on the Iceman, the tournament.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, dude, that's dope.
Man, that was so stressful.
Was it?
It was a 6-week build time, which for me, like that's about enough time to do a curbside or something, but not like not a fully detailed car. But like since I don't work now because of COVID, I figured I had the time.
Mm-hmm.
And but it was stressful. The first 4 weeks, all I did was just work on that thing. And the 5th week came along, and it was basically like assembly time. But my chrome, I had sent a bunch of those parts out to be chromed, and he couldn't ship them back because there was no airplanes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that was stressful, and I ended up getting that situation resolved. And got the car finished. And then it was like the voting was stressful. The first 2 rounds, I wasn't too worried because like my percentage was up a little higher than the other guy, so I figured like I'd get through those okay. But the last 2 days of voting, it just kept fluctuating between like 51%, 51, 49. It just kept going up for like 20 hours, and it was like I was losing sleep over it. Like I kept checking refreshing his story to like check. God, man, it was horrible. But once it was over, it was such a relief.
I like that puzzle they did. That prize.
Isn't that cool?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think super cool, man.
Yeah, I like that. I was like, man.
I'm pretty pumped on that.
No, that's dope, man. So it was a month of just putting this all together. Did you even get any sleep
during the build time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just I don't have anything else to do these days, so it was like every day I spent at least 4 hours on it, and there were some days where I spent 12 hours on it, but every day I had to put in work on that, otherwise it wasn't going to get finished,
Yeah.
And I think there were 16 of us originally. I think only 11 made it to the end, finished, and even some of those cars weren't 100% finished. They just kind of like assembled as much as they could and like took pictures.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, that's dope. So that was the 1960 Chevy Fleet side, and I mean everything, the photo etch parts, the wheels, the paint and clear coat. So one thing I've noticed about like your wheels, you work with a lot of wire wheels.
Yeah.
And how do you get those sets? Are they available out there in Japan, or do you just kind of buy them from out here and get them shipped?
They're all just different. It depends on which car, but like that truck is GPS tires,
Hmm.
and the rim is like a Pegasus Krager that I hollowed out, and then the spokes are Herb Deeks, the like Barani. They're supposed to be for a Ferrari, but they look kind of like twisted, like um, like lace spokes or whatever. The spokes are Herb Deeks, and then the knockoffs and ships are from Detail Junkies.
Oh, nice.
that that's how that particular set worked out. But
Yeah.
uh, lately, I've been using the 13-inch tires and rims from T T D T T T Dennis Garage, I think his Instagram is. And I don't remember where he's from exactly, but I know it's Eastern Europe somewhere.
Hmm.
But his tires are on point, and the rims are scale 13-inch, you know, and the Deke spokes you gotta trim around, like, because they're kind of big. They're kind of made for like a 16-inch wheel or something, so you gotta kind of cut them up and shove them in there. But you know, once they're all put together, like, to me it looks like a actual 520. I mean, they look great.
Hmm.
So
That's rad. That's pretty cool. So like,
yeah,
as far as like the paint, what kind of brand of paint did you go with on that fleet
on
size?
that truck,
Yeah.
it's Gaia Notes. I don't have that particular color, but it's uh, it's these bottles here.
Oh, there we
It's
go.
this stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I've seen those. I know New Type sells them.
Yeah,
It's a Japan product, right? Paint.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
this stuff's great. It's basically like an acrylic lacquer. It's not like the old school real lacquer. It's just like a hobby grade lacquer, I guess. But it works great. I really, really like it. And um, what's cool about this stuff is, like, you can use, like, for the top of that truck. Basically, I hit it with this first, which is like a really fine silver. It's almost like a pearl. And then I hit it with this this uh, Mr. Hobby rough
Oh.
silver.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this silver is pretty cool. It's like it's got like a really big kind of like flake. It's about as big as you can get,
Hmm.
like, in a silver paint, without using like actual flake.
Yeah, I have a couple of those bottles, but
Yeah,
not in silver. I have like a purple and also blue.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had purchased them a while back because I wanted to test them out like on a Gundam figure,
Oh,
and
sure.
but I never tried them on a car. That's cool though, man.
Yeah. Well, the blue you're talking about is what I used recently on that 51 Fleet line.
Hmm.
And like I used that blue and then put a clear pink over it, and it kind of made it like a lavender.
Okay.
But anyways, and then they have this line of the clear colors, which is
Mm,
basically your candy.
the candy, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it works great. Like, I mean, in my opinion, it looks just as good as House of Color. And
Uh-huh.
House of Color here is like not. It's very, very expensive to get a hold of. $35, or I can buy these for $1.75.
Man, that's so cheap. I wish I could get that for that price out here.
Yeah, I think probably New Type sells them for about double the price, I would imagine.
Yeah, double, maybe even triple. But hey, it's
Yeah,
we're able to get it like pretty fast. So that's
yeah,
the good
and it's good
benefit.
stuff. The clear, it tend the paint seems to chip easily, so I don't use their clear. I use Mr. Hobby Clear on top of it. It seems more durable to me and a little bit like softer. It's easier to wet sand,
Hmm.
and it's never chipped on me, and I don't know, never had any problems. So
Yeah, and the clear, are you airbrushing that as well, or is it with like a top coat with a can?
no, I use Airbrush.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I paint indoors. This is where I paint.
Yeah. How do you
uh,
do it for the ventilation? Oh, there we go. I see the booth.
Yeah, it's the Tamiya double fan booth. You can see it's dirty, but I just have the hose is running like out the window. See?
Nice. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then, I mean, we're on the 5th floor, so I don't need to worry about that, locking that door. So it just stays open all the time.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
I have one of those at the top corner. You have one of those for the alligator clips, the holders behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have one of those too, but like a little small one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, those come in handy. Like, so right now, these are the parts I painted yesterday, and then I've got one of the small ones over here. These are some
Yeah,
seats I molotowed,
those are cool.
so that
Uh-huh.
yeah, so that small one serves as just like a holding place for those, because it's like I'm not going to use them for a while, and it's Molotow, and it needs to dry for like a month, and then I've got another one here which keeps my spare sticks,
Uh-huh.
and here's another one over here. It's got some interior parts, and same here, another interior part.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I really like those.
Yeah, those are neat. Man, it's a trip. Like living out in Japan, you have all these tools, paints, and everything. How's the access for you as far as like hobby stores? Are they close by your house, or you still have to kind of
Yeah,
drive? Or
no, that's what's so cool about where I live. Uh, you've been to Akihabara, right?
yes, uh-huh.
Yeah, it's kind of like the nerd part of like Tokyo.
Hmm.
Well, I live about 1 kilometer south of Nipponbashi, which is the same area, like same type of area, but for Osaka. So, like to go get these paints and all this stuff, I just get on my bike. It's like a 10-minute bike ride.
Wow, man,
Yeah, yeah,
that's cool. And then the prices
yeah,
too, they're a lot cheaper.
yeah. It's great.
Man, I wish I could go back just to like be able to like just to see. Even if I wasn't gonna buy anything, I would still love to see all the stuff there.
No, I mean, it's overwhelming. Like, I can't even figure out what half of the tools are for. I mean, I think a lot of them are for Gundam stuff. So it's not like anything that would ever cross my mind in the first place. But I
Hmm.
mean, they got like a tool for everything, man. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
not nah.
I
It
mean,
seems like for every little thing.
yeah, like my local hobby shop has like 3 aisles of tools, you know?
Yeah, man. How do you do it with like the model car kits? How are you able to get Revell and all that stuff out there?
Uh, I don't think I've ever bought an American kit here before, but uh, a few years ago, like probably about 4 years ago, I was kind of thinking about getting back into this hobby, and I had some kits stashed at my mom's place, so I brought them back with me. So I
Hmm.
had a few laying around, and last time I was in the States, you know, I collected a bunch of kits. I got stuff from eBay, stuff at NNL West, and brought them back.
Nice,
So
that worked out.
I've got a stash of about like 30 American kits to build. So that'll keep me busy for like a good 5-6 years. You
Right?
know?
That's true.
Yeah,
Man, that's so
yeah.
crazy.
And there, the shop that I go to most frequently, they actually do sell American kits. But I mean, just the price, I can't justify the prices. It's like, you know, five, like $55 for like that deserter GMC truck, like, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? It's like, you can go get that at Hobby Lobby for $20,
yeah.
like,
That's yeah, it's crazy. What a
yeah,
trip.
yeah,
Man. And like so when you came to NNL, that was what, 2019?
yeah.
Yeah, and before was that, I mean, that NNL show right there, was that your first time NNL, or you had gone to NNL before in the past?
Not NNL West, no.
Uh-huh. And what was
Yeah.
your take on that, your experience on that 2019 being there?
Well, it was exciting because it was the first time I had been in a room full of lowrider model cars in 19 years. you know, that had never happened before. Like,
Mhm.
there's no, there's a few events I go to here, you know, twice a year, but nobody brings lowriders, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't get to see that here. Um, I I'm gonna try to, like, next time I come out, I'm gonna try to revolve it around some sort of event so I can, like, you know what I mean. I don't know. It's kind of like, you know, if lowrider models is your theme, but you don't ever get to, like, you get to go to events. You can go to Cadillac Fest. You could go to NNL West. You know, you see them like on a
Mhm.
regular basis, but I don't. I
Yeah.
never get that opportunity, and you know, and I'm into the JDM cars too, but like the cool, like the old Skylines, you know. Um, but guys rarely build those here either. When you go to the, like, when I go to the events here, it's mostly like rally cars, you know.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah. Man,
you
that's
know, and I mean
crazy.
that's cool, but it's like, you know, like at NNL West, I was entertained all day long, looking back at the cars again, and you know, inspecting them closer, and like talking to other people with the same interests as me, you know. And I don't get that kind of stimulation of the shows here. It's like walk around and look at a bunch of, like, you know, Subaru rally cars, you
Mhm.
know, and speak some broken English and Japanese to people that, you know, like, don't really care about my cars either, you know. That's kind of what it's like.
Yeah. But when you were at In-N-Out, were you able to like see and meet a lot of the guys from Instagram?
Not a whole lot. I mean, like you, Jeffries, Armando, Chip at TV, Chip at.
Yeah.
But I don't think he. I talked to him, but I don't think he knew, like, who I was.
Mhm.
Like, I never showed him what I brought, so he probably just thought I was like some random guy. Um, and I, you know, and Willie,
Mhm.
um, a few guys, but it's like hard to, you know, it's just a room full of guys walking around. You don't know who they are or who they built because they're not standing next to their work the whole time, you know. So it's
Yeah.
kind of hard.
Mhm. Yeah, it's crazy because there's always, once the show happens and it's past, you start to see photos of who was there, like as they're posting,
Yeah,
and that's when you're like, "Well, you were there? What the hell?" And
yeah,
at the same time, you talk to people and you tell them like, "Hey, did you know so and so was there?" And they're like, "What? I had no idea. Like, I didn't even know."
yeah,
Because everyone, like you said, everyone's walking around looking at stuff. People are busy
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
So, but it was a shock though, like for people like like even Armando was like, hey, because you brought that pink the Toyota,
Yeah.
and even he was like, hey, check that out, like it's here. Remember the one we've been seeing on Instagram? So it was cool to be able to like see that in person that you brought your cars out.
Yeah, like that was cool for me too, because like all those cars I've been looking at on Instagram for the last year and a half, you know, like the majority of them were there, and I got to see them in person finally, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's cool, man. I'm glad that you came out during that time, and we got to
yeah,
meet, so that was a pretty rad. On I know there's a couple people out that are on the Instagram community that we frequently talk to, also or interact with, that do lowriders. And do you also talk to like I think it's Kita and Yosuke out there
uh
from Dynasty?
not not no, not really, just comments here and there, hey,
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
work, that kind of thing. I I think it was, um I can't remember his name,
Is he even
but one of those guys is the one that showed me about the guy that was paint.
okay? Maybe because I know
Yeah,
Yoshiki's out there too. He does models. He's in
yeah.
masterpieces, and I know he does.
I think it it might have been him actually. He did he do that 65 Impala about a year ago? The one with the crazy patterns.
mm,
Was that him?
man, I have to check because he hasn't been active in a while, like on Instagram. He hasn't been.
Yeah, that might have been him.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, the low, the lowrider model community out here is basically just like 5 guys.
Yeah. It seems like it's not big for model building. Like, I mean, as far as like
Not yeah, it's
lowrider, like it's. But even though we would think, oh yeah, well they're in Japan, but Japan's huge. Like you guys are probably spread out, living far away from each other. I would think.
it's like the size of California.
Yeah, like
But
yeah, it's like
yeah, I mean,
northern and then
those
Southern California, maybe a distance.
kind of, yeah. And like I mean the thing is like there's more model car events up in the Tokyo area. But and that's probably like they probably frequent those. I think they're out in that area also. But it's like I can't just simply, bomb up to Tokyo. It's not like getting in your car and driving up I-5 to In-N-Out West, because it's like here you got to like pay for the gas. The toll roads alone are going to be $120 each way, and then you have to deal with parking. Like that's going to cost you money.
Yeah.
Or you could take the train, but they've got it all worked out where the train is going to end up costing the same as a car. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of how they get you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's to go up and see those guys and see their work. It's like a $400 investment, So just
and
as a
you
happening.
you can use that money for paint and a bunch of other food and a bunch of other stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one thing. That's one thing about this country, man. Like they really know how to stick it to you when it comes to paying for stuff. It's, like paint's cheap, but like get in the car and go, get on the highway to go somewhere. I mean, I did the math once, and it's like something like 50 cents a kilometer just to drive on those freeways. It's crazy.
Man, yeah. Dude, like when I went to the Akihabara, we went to I think it's Yorobashi, some
Yeah.
huge building, and it's like electronics and whatnot. But then there's that floor; it's all hobby stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember I had filled up a basket full of stuff, and I went up to pay, and I mean they told us like, hey, if you they have banners too all over the place saying, you bring your passport and we'll give you like a
Tax
discount.
free.
Yeah, and a discount and like no tax and whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember we were like the first time we didn't do it, we paid, what it was. But then the second time we were like, oh hell yeah, we're gonna definitely, take this deal. And man, they took forever for checkout was like forever. Like we at the end we were like, we don't want, like we shouldn't even do this. We wasted more time just for that checkout,
Yeah.
And then
save the tax.
They stapled that huge receipt onto the passport.
Yep.
And I was so scared, paranoid to like rip it off. When I got into the US, like I showed him my passport and like the dude gets in this receipt's all like dangling from it. But he didn't say anything. He just like stamped my thing and was like, here you go. And
yeah.
Well,
I mean that's I mean that's a normal procedure here. I see that like where I live is like you will be very heavily like Chinese tourists come to here. It's like the third busiest destination for the Chinese tourists, like this city. And I'd see them all the time when I go to the hobby shops. Like it sucked when I was behind them in line because I knew I'd have to wait for that receipt, and I have to check everything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, hey, I think tax is 10%, so it's kind of like a 10% off, coupon.
Yeah, for real. But I did. The only thing I did admire was the way they put everything in the bag on neatly. The guy took a while, but he set it up on neatly stacked, and he just like slid it in the bag, knowing that when I pick it up, it's all just gonna fall apart. But I was like, oh man, this guy's like taking his time on here. There's a post I wanted to bring up from your Instagram. This was December 14th, 2018. And on this one, you captioned it, you were entering your first model car contest in Japan. How was like that feeling moment of doing that?
Oh, that's at my local hobby shop. That's at the store I go to. They do an annual, it's not yeah, December. It's not a it's not a model car contest. It's just a model contest, and it's kind of a weird system they have. It's sponsored by like the model manufacturers here. So like the prizes, like they have trophies. It's a contest, so they have trophies, and the trophies are basically given to, like, if you bring in an Aoshima model, the sales rep for Aoshima, looks at all the Aoshima models that showed up and picks their favorite, and then that's the winner. They get the trophy.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's not. I mean, when you're bringing in a bunch of Revell and Monogram kits, there's no chance to win anything. But it's just cool to go there and like leave my car. It's a weekend thing, so you bring them like Friday night, you drop them off, and they sit there all weekend, and then Sunday morning they have the awards ceremony. So
that's cool.
It's kind of cool to have my cars on display, over the weekend.
Yeah.
And I usually pop in like Saturday evening and check out everybody else's work. It's mostly like, I don't know, science fiction dioramas and like painted figurines and like the Gundam stuff. It's mostly stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's not really any cars, maybe like a dozen.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
And
yes. Like living out there, you already pretty much like pretty fluent with the language as well.
Nah.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much. I spent the first few years learning, and I mean, I could go to a restaurant and order food and like have small talk, but other than that, not really. It's like after a few years of being here, I kind of just lost the desire to live here, and kind of just lost the desire to learn any more of the language. But
yeah. Well, as long as you could get by, I mean, that's the cool thing,
Yeah, and like at this point, I feel like I'm not. It's almost like reality hit. Like, wait, I can't leave here. Like we're never gonna simply go back to America. So now I think I'm gonna go back and start learning more, just to make my life like more simple. Yeah. I guess just because it's like I have to. Like I came to the realization that I'm not going anywhere, and I kind of just must learn more, I guess.
Yeah. No, yeah. Because I mean, I know I feel like I would want to try to learn as well, but then I know at some point I'm gonna be like, damn, this is too much, Because then
it is a bit
I don't
much.
know. It's a lot.
It just they just have like maybe a dozen different ways to count stuff. Like there's a different word for number one, depending on its shape. Like if it's long, it's this. If it's round, it's that. If it's far away, it's something else. It's just like and like learning just like all that kanji. It's like, I mean, like being a native English speaker, like I had the alphabet down by the time I was like 5 years old. But the kanji, I mean, it takes a lifetime to learn, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, good thing at least you have like the hobby stores and a hobby that you're into to keep you busy, because
for sure.
I don't know, what do you think you would be doing if you didn't do models? Do you ever think about that sometimes?
Well, I was doing RC drift before I got back into these cars.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I did that for about 7 years, and I just got sick of spending money on it. It was too expensive.
Keep like upgrading parts and stuff for it.
Yeah, it gets out of control, man. It, like, the companies, they'll introduce a new item, like a new front knuckle, and you think like, oh wow, like I could readjust so many different things with this new knuckle, and then you buy it, and it costs twice as much as the previous knuckle, but like you feel like you need it. Then you install it and you get used to using it, and then they come out with like a version 3, and now all of a sudden you got to have that new front knuckle set, and it's double the price as the previous set. It's just never ending. In fact, I look at the prices of stuff now, because like I still follow some of the like RC groups on like Facebook or whatever. And it's like things that I used to spend 60, 70 bucks on. People are paying like $240 now for like the new version. It's like,
Wow.
man, I am so glad I got out of that hobby. It's just, I
Yeah.
mean, it just sucks up all your extra money.
Yeah, that's a lot. You wouldn't have like money to support this other hobby if you were spending that much.
No way, man. In the electronics, I mean, it's like that hobby advances very quickly, you know?
Uh-huh.
And it's just, I don't know. I got out and this is so much cheaper, the model cars, and I could do it from home. I don't have to go out to the track and pay for track fees and,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah, no,
so
that's true. Well, one
yeah.
thing um, I think I can speak for everyone, even myself, that we like a lot is like the photo etch parts that you use on your cars,
Oh,
and just the way it looks. It looks super clean. I remember that Bel Air that convertible. When you started adding just like all the emblems, all the things around it, I was just like, man, how are you doing that so clean? What's your process when you're working with photo etch?
well, the first thing I do is polish it. I use uh, this thing, Proxon, with the like polishing, bit or whatever. And I just lube it up and polish it and, clean it up with some dish soap. And as far as like the detailing, the colors, I usually use like those colored fine point Sharpie pens, like a permanent marker.
Yeah.
And yeah, just color it in. And, if you make a mistake, you just dip a Q-tip in, or not a Q-tip, a toothpick, like in some water and just kind of clean it up a little bit. Or sometimes I'll use like paint, just paint it like black and then go back over it with one of the God hands. I use like the 8,000 grit and the thick one, like the 3mm at least, or no, the 5mm thick one.
Mm-hmm.
And just, rub it over the surface of the photo etch. And that 8,000 grit pad is soft enough where it won't scratch, the photo etch. It won't like take the shine away from the polishing. And it'll be just enough to take that layer of paint off and leave all the raised letters, exposed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as gluing, like I've posted photos where I put it on some like clear, like cellophane tape and then tape it to the body or the hood or whatever. And when I do that, I always make sure the tape, like I always make sure that the photo etch piece is like directly in the center of the tape. That way, when I tape it onto the car, it's like the tape being diagonal doesn't throw off like my view, you know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
like if the tape's crooked, it's going to be hard to tell if the piece is straight or not. You know what I mean? Yeah. So once I do that, I make sure the tape is good and like stuck on one side, and I lift up the other side. So the photo etch. So now I'm looking at the back of the photo etch, and then just take a toothpick that I sharpen and just put tiny little dabs of 5-minute epoxy on there, just tiny amounts, all around it. So, that way you've got a dot like on each letter at least, but not enough to where when you put it back down and you press down, the glue is going to seep through, because that happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also one of the reasons that I like to do those small scripts before clear coat, because if some glue does creep out, like usually within like an hour or two, you can take a toothpick and pick it all out. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way. But once you hit it with the clear, it buries that glue and kind of hides it, so it still looks clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
like, as
was
far
the
as
question I was gonna ask too about the clear. Do you clear over it? The photo etch?
sometimes, not always, but sometimes it depends on the piece.
Mm-hmm.
And like it depends on where it's at. If it's like I'm near a corner, I will not do that because I know that I'm gonna bust it off when I'm wet sanding. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
man.
yeah, the photo etch. I'll rarely build a kit that doesn't have a photo etch like set available for it,
Mhm.
just because it like really makes a huge difference, you know, in your build. Like huge difference, you
Yeah.
know.
What's your process when you're gonna get before you get started on a kit? Do you first gather up all your materials as far as like photo etch, the paints and everything before you get started?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, the last time I was in the States, I bought a photo etch kit for, you know, whatever kits that I was bringing back with me. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
like a lot of it I planned ahead. Like I ordered from Japan and had sent to my mom's house, and then went ahead and, you know, once those kits all arrived, I went on Model Car Garage website and ordered all the photo etch for it too, you know. So I basically came home with all the photo etch and the kits at the same time. So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And like
Yeah.
now, you know, the level that you're at with car modeling, you know, like back in the day, did you ever feel like you were gonna get to this level now?
I don't even, I mean, how far back I mean, no, not really. I mean, I never really thought about it. I don't, it's like I'm, you know, the level I'm at now is just, that's just where I like to stay at, you know.
Mhm.
I don't want to be any better than I am now, because like all I'm really trying to do is build a model that looks good to me and sits on the shelf. You know, I'm not trying to win anything. I don't want anybody to like, I'm not trying to impress anybody. I'm just, all I'm trying to do is build a nice model that sits on the shelf, you know. And if I wanted to take it to the next level, I'd start doing more engine detail, or, you know, adding like the parking brake cables or whatever. But nobody's ever going to see that because it's literally just sitting on a shelf, you know.
Mhm.
I mean, like I don't really think I'm on any sort of crazy level. I'm just a normal builder that uh, I mean, I don't know. I think everybody's at the same level as I am,
That
if not better, actually.
I feel like you have this like style, like this. I was talking to George about that with Vision 124, and we
Oh
were just
yeah,
saying how it's kind of cool that you know everybody's building their own cars, and let's say like everyone could have their take out of like a 64 Impala, but it's interesting. Like I feel like you have your own style, like where if we all did one, like yours will stand out because I know you know like you were mentioning about like photo etch, like there's it's like there's a standard that you go that extra mile, and
yeah,
like I might not do the engine details or whatever, but I also might not even do the photo etch, you know, and
yeah, yeah.
it's almost like even like your color combinations and just the way you present the cars, they look very clean. And
Huh.
when we see a photo for us that we're out here looking at your work, we already know. We're like, oh, dude, that's Gavin right there. Like, for sure, that's his car. Like, he did
I
that.
mean, most of my cars pretty much come out with this. Yeah, I mean, it's like the same photo etch. It's just like three basic uh, elements. You have the photo etch spokes. You have the paint, which is usually just a solid color, usually, and like the photo etch bits on the body, basically.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah, because even like the clear that you use, you know, on your like all your cars, like the clear is just they look nice, man. Like they're shiny, they
it's
pop.
it's just it's this stuff here.
Oh man, dope. Is that one like a two part thing?
No,
Just
no, this is acrylic lacquer.
okay, and it's already like ready to spray, or do you have to reduce it?
I reduce it, yeah.
Okay.
Um, I usually, depending on the weather, I use about equal parts of the leveling thinner and the regular thinner.
Hmm.
So when and I'll do like four. heavy coats. And by the time that fourth coat is on, it's shiny enough. It's shiny.
Mm-hmm.
And also that allows like enough buildup to where I won't rub through to the paint when I'm wet sanding it. You know what I mean? And I love this stuff because it's soft enough to where when you hit it with that 4000 God hand, it starts taking it down right away. You know, so there's not a whole lot of labor involved. It's just, you know, takes for like a body, maybe takes me an hour, you know, and I got all the orange peel knocked off.
Yeah, that's cool. What's the difference between the Mr. Color leveling versus the Mr. Hobby, the thinner?
Well, the thinner is just thinner, and the leveling thinner is a thinner with a retarder added, so it slows the drying process. You know, so like lacquer dries almost instantly. So when you spray lacquer on a body, it just dries, you know. But with the leveling thinner, it slows down the drying process, so it gives the clear time to settle and smooth out a little bit. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I mean, I see it on like on the websites too. I have
Yeah.
the Mr. Hobby thinner. I don't have the other one. And
If it,
I need to try that one out.
yeah, it's really cool. And you can also get just like Tamiya makes retarder for this one's for acrylic, but they also make for lacquer, and they might make for enamel too. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I don't think they do. That would be weird.
And it's
But
like
this
does the same process. It slows it
it
down.
just slows down the drying process. And this stuff's cool too. Like I put a few drops in my bottles of paint because it'll keep it from drying out quicker.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
And it's also what I use when I flock the interiors is I put the retarder in there so the paint is still super wet when I you know, sprinkle the flocking on.
Yeah. How's that process with flocking? So you just like when you're gonna do the flocking, do you just throw like the whole thing and then just kind of shake it and put it upside down so the whatever's left over falls over, or?
I run it through this thing. Um, it's like a kitchen utensil. It's a flour sifter.
Mm.
So when you're baking a cake, you put your flour in here and you pull the handle. See, it's got that blade.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
it makes
cool.
like a real nice fine powder.
Mm.
So yeah, what I'll do is I'll take my floor pan or whatever. I usually have everything painted. Um, like here, like this thing's ready to flock. You know, you can see everything's painted. The seats are painted. Everything's painted, and at some point I'll mask off the seat, and I've already masked off the foot, whatever that's called. What is that? Full floor mat. The floor mat's already taped off. And then I'll just shoot the color on there, the paint, or in this case, I'm going to use clear. I'm just going to use clear with the retarder in it. And as soon as I soak it, and as soon as I'm done, I just put the airbrush down immediately, and then this will already have the flocking in it, and I just sprinkle it on top. You know?
Yeah.
But it's all about speed. You got to do it as quickly as possible, because once that paint starts to dry even the littlest bit, the flocking won't stick on very well.
Uh-huh.
And after I do that, I'll let it sit for about a week. I won't even touch it, and just let it dry. Just make sure, you know, it's dry, and then just rinse it off under some water and get all the excess off, and it's done.
Yeah. For like parts that you use the Molotow on, you let that cure for how long?
Just as long as possible. I mean, you can let it cure for a year. It's still gonna be a problem. I really don't like that stuff.
Yeah. I don't use it anymore. I used to, but like I had the markers and stuff. But I gave them to George actually.
Yeah.
And all of my markers, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna be using this. A long time ago, I remember airbrushing some parts, and I was like, dope. And I waited a week, and I started touching them, you know.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was pissed. I was like, oh man,
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah. there that like that 57 Cameo truck I did. I did the whole chassis in Molotow, and that thing was such a nightmare to assemble that like in the final assembly of that car, I kept holding it from below. And by the time I was done, like all the Molotow on the chassis had rubbed off.
Ah.
Yeah, I hate that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like the only, you can like, I've brush painted some pledge on top of it, which like seals it. You could touch it after that and it won't yellow over time. But it kind of takes the shine away a little bit. So I don't know.
Yeah, you haven't tried with that Mr. Hobby Clear to airbrush over it just to see what would happen?
It's, well, the Molotow is acrylic base. It's like a water based paint. So the Mr. Hobby will just eat through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I mean everything dulls it. There's
Yeah.
the only thing I haven't tried is someone I've read a few times that you can use like a water based Alclad. Alclad has some kind of water-based clear that you can use, but I mean, I've also seen people say that the pledge is okay to use too, and it's not really. So who knows?
What kind of airbrushes are behind you that I see right there in the side?
This is a 5mm nozzle, and it's Mr. Hobby Procon.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I'm not a huge fan of it. It's all right, but it sputters sometimes. You got to really be careful about that. So before I spray, I always got to just hit the nozzle out in the air, you know, to make sure it's not going to like splatter. And then this one, this is a 3mm. And I don't know who makes this. It's Zokimura Painting System. Zokimura Painting System. I don't know, man. Kukai, I don't know, but it's made in Kyoto.
Yeah. That's cool.
It's a nice piece. Yes, they're all right pieces. The last time I was in California, though, I stayed with a friend. He lived near the venue for NNL West, and he had a couple of Awadas, and I tried out one of his. It was like the regular Awada, like not the Neo, but the other.
Was it the HPCS one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I used that, and man, I was blown away with how good it felt in my hand, and like just it was so nice. I immediately wanted one. But believe it or not, they're actually possible to find here.
It was like a big difference between like the ones you have and that one that you felt.
Yeah. It felt really good in my hand. The button and slide operation was so smooth. I mean, like I swear to God, man, this probably my imagination, but even like the pattern coming out of the nozzle seemed just more like just like the pattern just seemed so like tight, and you know, it wasn't spraying all over the side. It was just a nice pattern, you know. I just felt real good, man. I really would like to upgrade to Awadas one of these days, but
yeah, I love their airbrushes. That's one of my favorite airbrushes. The HP.
Yeah, I'd love to have one. In fact, when I came back, I tried to find one, but believe it or not, they're actually like impossible to find in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
And like my only option was to use like Yahoo Auctions, and I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to buy it at a store. You know, that way if I ever have a problem, I could go back to that store and like get proper like help, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, maybe in the future when you come back to California to visit or something, you can like pick one up out here.
I probably will. I probably will, because I really would like to have one. And like this 0.5 I'd like to replace just because of the spattering problem. I don't know why it does that. I replaced the needle and the nozzle, and it still does it. So it's, you know,
And the what size nozzle or which airbrush do you use when you shoot your clear?
The 0.5.
The 5. Oh no.
Yeah. That's why I bought it, was for clear.
Yeah.
Um, I'll do body color too, but the 0.3 works a little bit better with like the clear colors, like the candies, because those are hard to get even on a body, like especially like a 59 like El Camino, where you try to get under that fin. Like
Mm-hmm.
you need a small airbrush and just dust that stuff in there, otherwise you're not going to get full coverage.
Yeah. Man. Dude, you have a lot in your arsenal of like cars, dude. Like I wrote down the list of some. I mean, you have a lot, but like your 78 Elko, the Cadillac, the Riviera, 57 Bel Air, and your 58 Impala. I mean, those are some that I noted. Um, how does it feel when like you line them all up and you sit back and you see them all
uh,
come up?
hey, can you repeat that, man? There was a bunch of noise outside.
Yeah, no, not so good. So those cars that you made, like the 78 Elko, the Cadillac, your Riviera, 58 Impala, and 57 Bel Air. When you put all those cars together, lined up, how's that feel when you just see them all together?
It never happens because they're just sitting in I don't have anywhere to display the cars, so they're never. I'd have to take them out of the boxes and actually line them up. That's it's actually kind of sad, man, because I never actually get to really see these cars. They just
Mm-hmm.
I have like 3 on display uh, on a shelf, but like once I make a new car, it just gets swapped out, and that car gets put in a shelf, and I don't really ever see it again.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I like to go to the contest, because that's the only time I get to see them all next to each other, And
Yeah.
it's kind of cool because it's just like seeing all the colors, of the cars next to each other. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool,
Yeah.
you know, and it stands out at those shows because everything surrounding them is, like rally cars and whatever, or like Gundam stuff. So it's like the one spot in the room that's like super colorful, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. In that area. You,
Yeah. But
which
like NNL West, they would just blend in with everybody else's, you know what I mean?
That's true. As far as like colors, do you ever feel, because I mean you're knocking these cars out, you're doing, like, for some of us it takes a long time just to do one car. But do you ever feel like you're running out of like colors or that you like?
No.
Endless.
No.
That's good.
No, yeah, I mean most of those colors are just like stuff I just kind of made up. A lot of them aren't straight out of the bottle. It's all mixed with something else, you
Mm,
know? And there's so many different variations you can do. I mean, I could take like the yellow I used on that 57 Bel Air
uh-huh.
and put it over a metallic base coat and it'd be a completely different color,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are your
It's like,
favorite colors?
I, I'm not I mean, I like all colors. I think green is probably my least favorite, I guess. Green.
Hmm.
Um, I, I don't know why, but I've been on a pink kick lately, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I love that color that you did on the 65 Riviera. That one that
Yeah.
one's nice.
Yeah, man. Actually, I could show you what that is too. It's, uh, no, I guess I can't. But yeah, that's a weird color. It's um, called clear pale red.
Yeah. Whoa.
It's just like it's like if you took it's like if you took a bottle of clear and put like 3 drops of red in it. Like that's what it is. But you
Yeah.
got to you got to hit it. You got to hit. I think that was about like 6 coats of paint just to get that color to finally show up.
Now on, wow. Did you use like a white base under it?
Yeah, white pearl. I did like a white primer and a white pearl, and then that color.
Hmm. That's cool. For primer, do you go with like Tamiya or do you use Mr. Color, the surfacer?
I use the surfacer. Yeah, I use this is the standard I use. It's white, the 1000
The
base coat.
1000, okay.
Yeah. The 1500, it's like too thin. It doesn't get good coverage, you know, and the 500 is too thick.
Mm-hmm.
That's for like body work, basically. So yeah, the 1000 works perfect for me, and I always use white, always.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that 500. I've seen a video of somebody using a 500 like on a military tank for
Yeah.
like weathering, just to give it some like thickness in some areas before they started to like paint it.
Oh yeah.
Brushing
Yeah,
it on. Yeah.
it's super thick. I
Yeah.
use it sometimes if I like had to do a little body work somewhere. I'll use it for the primer there just because it fills it in a little more. But
Mhm.
it's thick, man, and it's hard to clean out of your airbrush.
Oh man, I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you kind of after using that stuff, you kind of have to break down the airbrush a little bit and scrub the insides. And
Yeah, get in there. Yeah,
yeah.
get on. And like you being out there in Japan and you go on Instagram, you're able to like see people's work. How do you feel like having that like that ability, like that access to be able to like connect with everybody online being
Oh,
there?
it, it's awesome because I wouldn't have that here, because there's not a big lowrider model community here.
Mhm.
And it's like it's not it's I mean, without that I probably wouldn't even have gotten back into this, because like a few years ago I thought like maybe I should get back into this hobby. And I looked on Instagram maybe, and I think like I probably found you or I don't know, somebody. And like, oh, there's some lowrider model cars on Instagram, and I kind of started following some people, and it was cool, man, because it's like now I'm seeing, I hadn't seen any new work from anybody in 20 years because I was out of the loop for so long. And it's like it's cool to just simply go on some app on my phone and look at stuff.
Yeah,
It's like right there.
right. And like, it's like every day though. I feel like every day we log in, there's
Yeah,
there's something new every day.
yeah, for sure.
You know, 'cause even
Yeah,
I feel like if you stay like a day or two away from, you'll miss out on some posts. Like you would have to go individually to who you follow to see maybe like what they
yeah.
posted.
I try to scroll through once a day, and it takes like maybe 15-20 minutes.
Hmm.
But it's like if you miss a day, you're never gonna get that you're finally caught up notice.
Yeah, yeah.
you know. And if I don't see that, I feel like there might have been something I missed. So I try to scroll through once a day just to make sure I don't miss anything.
Yeah.
Because you know,
No, that's cool,
like
man.
yeah, like it might be a really epic build that showed up that day that that I'm gonna miss out on seeing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's dope. I feel like your builds when you're showing people like what you're up to, and then once it's in that middle process and in the final stages, I feel like it gives a lot of like people inspiration, but at the same time, it helps other people that want to get to your level to step up and like do more. So
Yeah,
I think it's dope that you keep it up like by like doing that.
that's kind of why I do it, so people can like look at the photos and kind of figure out like, oh, that's kind of how it's done. Like that's how you would go about doing that technique. And because it's like back in the day before social media, you'd go to the contest and ask somebody how they do something, and like they want to keep it a secret, like they don't want to tell you. And I always thought that was weird. And I always told people I don't care. I'm not hiding anything. But what's funny now with the social media thing is now it's like the opposite. And instead of like hiding their techniques to keep it for themselves,
Uh-huh.
they want to go on social media and let everybody know because it makes them like famous on social media. Like the YouTube
Yeah.
guys and stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's different. It's different. Yeah. That's true. There's some new channels that I subscribe to, like they're like Gundam channels, right? And they're
Oh
doing
yeah,
how you just said. Like this video today, it's like it's gonna show you. I'm gonna show you this. Like every Tuesday, I'm gonna give you some tips or whatever.
yeah,
And it's kind of cool. I enjoy watching it, because I am learning some stuff. I do take something from it, but then I start to see more and more and more. Like, and now I'm at to the point where I'm like, dang, I'm really getting caught up with this person. And I gotta start over here and then over here. Like,
Yeah.
there's just so much. And before
It's
it,
like, yeah, it's like
there
it's like
wasn't.
never ending.
Yeah, dude, it is. It's like super never ending. And I feel like we're like,
Yeah.
in, within a year or so or two, we're gonna be like overwhelmed with too much information. You know?
Well, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's really gonna be about the, like, we could get all this info, but it's gonna be boiled down to the person if they have the energy and that vision and that creative mindset to actually go ahead and do it and complete it.
Yep.
You know, 'cause,
That's something. Actually, what I'd like to see you do one of these days is one of those Gundams, but just low rider it out. You know, like
uh,
every panel a different candy color, maybe some patterns on it, flake.
right? That would be
Yeah,
cool.
maybe some. Yeah, maybe some chrome in there somewhere.
Yeah, bare metal foil it on some areas.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that'd
yes.
be pretty neat. Bling it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that'd be tight. Yeah, because I mean it's very similar as far as like I feel like with the Gundam stuff, it's taught me like a discipline with like sanding and prepping. Because
Oh yeah.
even though it's like just a small like piece that's on the tree that you cut out, but then it's like you cut it out and it leaves like a stress mark.
Oh yeah.
And then you got to learn how to like get that out. I mean, you could sand the part and repaint it, but let's just say you don't want to paint that part. You want to keep the color, the stock color that the piece is in. And
Oh, because
how,
you don't always, because that stuff you don't always have to paint it.
yeah. Like some of the like majority of the kits that you see on the box art, that's all the parts are already painted. So
Okay.
basically, the way I look at it is like every one of these Gundams that's being built is like a box stock, you know,
Oh yeah.
out of
Yeah.
box,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
because they like the character. But then you got this other community of guys that are very like, oh, the proportions are wrong. He needs to be taller. His arms are too short. So these are the customizers. They like add styrene. They chop stuff up, and then you got
Oh.
and then there's another set of dudes that are into panel scribing. So it's kind of like, you know how when you do lowrider designs, you could do a symmetrical, the hood and all these patterns. Same thing. They're doing patterns on the arms, on the chest, on the
But with
skirt.
lines.
Yeah, and put their lines, and it gives you, and then they layer like different, maybe let's just say a 0.5 millimeter piece of styrene with a 1 millimeter, and it looks kind of 3D-ish, sort of.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it just at the end it just makes it look like it's metal, with all the weathering and everything, different levels.
Yeah.
So I start to already see like, all right, like comparing it to model cars, you could either do like something super stock or just go the extra mile and do something totally custom and crazy.
I'm telling you, low ride one.
Yeah, man, that'd be pretty dope. Like,
Have you seen? They have a bunch of like customized aftermarket parts for those things too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen
sometimes like
some weapons and stuff like that.
yeah, that and like different cut like lenses in different sizes and colored lenses and like I don't know like a booster pack vent. I don't even know like what these things are. I don't
Yeah,
like you know what I mean like a um I don't know, man. Like stuff you'd see on like a space shuttle, like those
like a
packs.
thruster kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah, yeah. Thruster. That's what they are. Yeah, yeah. Those
Yeah.
things. Like turned aluminum thrusters and like all
Uh-huh.
kinds of like little caps that like I don't know, man. Maybe the oil filler cap for when you put oil in the robot or something. I don't know. Just all kinds of like crazy little pieces.
Hmm. I remember seeing some like small little thrusters that one time I was in Japan and I was showing Armando. I almost bought them, and I was telling
Yeah.
him, dude, these almost look like you can shave. Like let's say on a '65 Impala, how you have like the rings from the tail lights. I was
Oh yeah,
telling
yeah,
him
yeah.
on the back, you could probably shave those off, and then just fit these in there, so these
Oh
like
yeah.
stick out at an angle. And he was like, "Yeah, it looks like it's probably the scale. You just have to try it out." But I never bought them, but I've seen them online. Yeah, I mean, I can still get them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's HIQ parts that makes them. Those like
I've
thrusters.
never
It's like photo
maybe.
etch, a lot of photo etch stuff that they also make for
Yeah.
the Gundams.
It's they have like the blue packaging.
Yeah, blue and orange.
Okay. Yeah. That's probably HIQ.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, man, I wish I had that access to get all that stuff being out there.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's pretty cool, but at the same time, like I'm looking over at you guys thinking the same thing, because you could
Yeah.
just go to you can just go to the hobby store and buy that Revell kit, or like, like the out of production kits, like a 69, Impala. Like if you really want one, you could find one on eBay and buy it. But like for me to buy it, you know, it's gonna be an extra $40 just to ship it to me.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's just like I can't justify those kinds of prices. And also the aftermarket stuff too, like Model Car Garage. Like I could spend $100 getting a ton of photo etch for Model Car Garage, but I don't want to spend 140 to have it shipped to me.
Dude,
It's just like it's just too much.
yeah, that's a lot. That's like way too much
Yeah,
right there. No, it's crazy.
yeah.
Is
Or
there
like
is there like a model car that you would say it's like your favorite model car to build? Like that you like building all the time?
um, it's I've rarely ever built the same car twice. Uh, right now I'm working on this like Kubel wagon. So normally when I start a model, I take all the pieces that are going to be body color and I prep and primer and start painting them. And then I move on to the interior and so on. But with this theme, it's actually kind of cool because it's a military vehicle. Uh, and I'm actually following the instructions. Like I actually started at step 1 and painted those parts and then assembled them. And now, and then I'm on step 2 and I finished those and so on. But it's actually kind of fun, man. It's like, if you can see it, it's like, so far I just got this chassis and the motor in there.
Mm-hmm. That looks nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
And it's
looking
really
at.
been, it's been, it's been fun to build because I'm just following the steps like you would normally build a model. Kind of like how the Gundam theme probably is for you. You start at
Mhm.
step 1, you go to step 2, and it's fun.
Yeah.
But the lowrider models, man, it's like sometimes it's not fun at all. It's like work. But this thing's been fun.
Yeah.
Um,
It's funny you say that
but I've
'cause
hardly,
I felt like
I'd
that
say,
at times too.
yeah, it's like it's not fun. It's really not fun. Um, like I like gluing the parts together and like starting the finishing process, but everything before that is just like it's just work. Um,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, I'd say like the only kit that I build uh, on a regular basis is like those Hasegawa buses, Volkswagens.
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, um, and yeah, those are all right, but um, I'd say I think the kit that I've enjoyed the most recently would like man, I don't even know, man. I could that 57 Bel Air was a nice kit that went together pretty smoothly. I really enjoyed that. Um, that 60 Chevy pickup, believe it or not, actually went together pretty well too. I was surprised for an AMT kit. I thought it was just going to be a nightmare, but yeah, it
Yeah.
went together pretty good.
Uh-huh. That's tight. I'm looking at the box artwork of that kit that you just showed me right now that you're working on. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
a Kuba wagon type 82. Can't see the
I don't
red.
remember which type this was. There's two types, but they're basically the same car. Yeah.
That's dope. Man, that's cool. Well, at least you're having some fun with it, following the steps on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you gonna go with like a matte finish for the clear?
Yeah. It is. Yep. In fact, I started this thing a month and a half ago, and the hobby shop closed. I needed more clear,
Yeah.
but
Oh
I finally
man.
got it.
Yeah.
And
How
actually, check this out.
mhm.
It's where is that? It's actually I don't have any of it here, but the I'm using a flat clear, and it's interesting the different flat clears they offer. They have like rough, semi-rough, and smooth. So it's like you can actually pick a different clear for whatever texture you want to come up with.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so I went with the smooth, and and like even that right there takes away like the whole, you know, it's just so easy to just spray the color on, and then the next day just spray the clear on, and that's done, you know. I don't
Hmm.
have to worry about like the stress of getting the color even. I don't have to clear coat it. I don't got to worry about dust getting in the clear. I don't got to wet sand it. I don't got
Yeah.
to polish it. It's just paint and glue together.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's like going back to basics, huh? On there.
Exactly. Yeah, it really is. It
Yeah.
is. Yeah. It's like that's probably why the military models are actually so popular, like
Hmm.
because they're actually enjoyable to build. You just glue
Yeah.
it together and paint it.
Yeah. Nah, yeah, it's crazy because I feel like not a lot of people admit that, but it's true. Like I could even because I felt it as well. It's like building the lowriders. There was always a time where I felt, man, this is like work. Like I'm not looking forward to this right now. You know?
Yeah, no, yeah, totally. It I get stuck a lot, you know, where like right now the flocking I got to do on that blue on this thing that I was showing you. This has been sitting in here for about a month and a half. All I have to do is like mask it and flock it, but
Yeah,
I just have no motivation. Like it's just, you know.
yeah. It's just sitting in the back burner. You're like, I'll get around it.
Yeah. I mean, actually, that's not even the only one either. There's the interior for the 51
Yeah.
Fleet Line is sitting up there. Bel Air is sitting up there too. Same thing. I just got to mask it and flock it, but
Hmm.
I just don't have the motivation.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Like I've asked other people, hey, have you been, working on anything or done anything right now, like during this time that you've been home? They're like, no. Like, I mean, I'm at home, but my motivation's not there, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a feeling too, because we're probably thinking a lot. We're trying to figure out what's gonna be our next move because of our, in our real lives, trying to figure out,
Yeah.
all right, and we're not used to this, so it feels weird. But then again, like when you do have work or you're doing a bunch of other stuff, then all you're thinking about is the hobby, right? Like, oh, I can't wait to get home and work on those things.
Yep.
But yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of weird because even like for me too, like I have time. I know I can work on a car and stuff, but there's certain times where I get busy or when I do have the time, like the motivation is not there, you know?
Exactly.
So it's
Exactly.
kind of, I don't know. I think it's good that you're working on something else because then I think that's gonna reset everything and then for you,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna find the way. You're gonna realize, man, I just enjoy doing this. Why can't? How can I implement this on the lowrider? You know?
I mean, it's impossible. The lowriders are just too like labor intensive, you know?
I guess too. It's like every time you put out a car, it's like your level, like a standard, and it's like you don't want to go backwards, right? Like you don't want to do something that
Yeah,
you're probably not gonna be happy.
exactly. Like wet sanding the clear coat, you know, it's like a 4-day process. It like your arm gets tired. It's not fun.
Hmm.
But I'm not, I wouldn't be happy if I put it together without,
Doing that.
the clear coat rubbed out. Like it just has to happen, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah. Man. And do you get like people hitting you up from out here or other places like wanting like commission builds and stuff like that?
Uh, yeah. a few times, or they want to buy one of my cars, but I just tell them no.
Yeah, it's
I
probably
don't.
best. I mean, because I mean, it's not that. It's just a hassle, that whole back and forth, like trying to figure out a price and this and that, and it's almost like,
Well, it's just.
I don't know.
I mean, there's no money in it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, it's like, like I kept track of the hours on a build once. I did that 53 Bel Air, that blue one, just a curbside, and it was almost 60 hours of labor I put into that build,
Hmm.
right? So, you know, 60 hours, let's say $10 an hour. Okay. Let's say it's an almost minimum wage job.
Yeah.
What is that? $600?
Hmm.
Nobody's going to pay $600 for that. And that's before, the cost of the kit, the paint, whatever else is in there. So
Uh-huh.
it's like, is somebody going to pay me $700 for that? No. And am I going to do that kind of work for $10 an hour? No. I
Yeah.
can go get a job, doing that. I can go get a job making $10 an hour.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't, like, I want to give somebody something that it took me, like 2 decades to master,
Hmm.
like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, man. It's hard to like put a,
Yeah.
put a price on that
Like,
stuff.
and also it like consumes so much of my time. Like, even if they were going to give me $700 for it, like, I don't want to spend that much time on something to give to somebody else. Like, I want it for myself, That's
Hmm.
the only reason I'm building these things, is so
Yeah.
I could have like a cool model car sitting on the shelf.
No, yeah, that's true, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's the best answer. Just tell them no. They're like, nah, nothing's for sale right now.
I just tell them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like, I don't even ask them what they'd offer. I just say no,
Yeah. No, that's good, man. That's good. Yeah, because it happens. It's funny too, because sometimes I get hit up on the Scale Riders Instagram, like, how much? And I'm like, oh, it's not my car. Like, I'm showcasing a car for someone. If you want info, you need to hit them direct. The link's right there, And it's just like
Yeah.
no effort done. I don't know. I mean, they're thinking they're mine, but I'm like, I'm not promoting them like that, like they're mine.
Yeah. And it's like, it's kind of, I mean, I could see, like, if somebody wants a custom made theme and like they're willing to pay top dollar, like, maybe, but it's just like, I mean, if you just want like your favorite car painted blue or whatever, just buy a die cast, or like try to do it yourself,
Yeah,
like, you know
that's the best thing.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Because other than that, nah, it's gonna be too expensive. Like you said, no one's gonna want to pay like
Yeah.
what you really want
Yeah,
for that. That's what's
for
gonna
sure.
get tough right there. Is there any shout outs you want to give out before we wrap up this episode?
uh, um yeah, yeah, just I guess I'll give a shout out to just like all all the cottage industry guys that are coming out with aftermarket stuff for us,
Mhm.
like Jeffries, detail junkies with the photo etch, the 3D resin guys, 3D print guys, just the guys out there making new products for us to use, so we can, up our level a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the photo etch that David's doing is epic, and it's like, you know the like Model Car Garage does a lot of great photo etch kits that I use all the time, but David's are cool because they're mostly lowrider specific, so they come with like the cool parts, like the breezies and the plate toppers, and the plate frames, like the Felix plate frames, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it makes it a little more special than the other kits out there. And yeah, just anybody out there trying to innovate the hobby, I guess.
That's cool. Nah, that's what's up. Yeah, I'm looking forward to like
Yeah.
the new stuff David's putting out. He's doing a tremendous job.
Oh yeah, man, I've seen a little bit of it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be nice.
Yeah, sneak peek. That's tight.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, man. No, and then I love what they're doing
It's
with the magazine.
it's like overwhelming.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Yeah, and then even like Iceman too with the contest and all that. That's even though it was probably like a little stressful building it, but still it something came out of it.
Like,
All right, so I had mentioned about the magazine, dedicated magazine. They're doing a great job with that too.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, it's cool to see like another lowrider specific. Well, I guess it's not really lowrider specific, but that's kind of the main focus. But just like a magazine that caters to like what the younger generation is doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like Scale Auto is all right, but it's like that is geared towards the older guys, that are into like factory stock or like race cars, rust, like, I don't know. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Iceman too. He's doing some cool stuff. Like he did the contest, and I mean I know it was a little stressful, but still something came out of it.
Oh
Your,
yeah.
your truck. So that was a positive right there.
Yeah. 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 That was cool for him to put that on.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not easy to do. I mean, it seems like there was a lot of work created for him to put that together, like
Mm-hmm.
get the sponsors, um, figuring out like a good way to do the voting process,
Yeah.
all that stuff, it's all work,
Yeah, it is.
and he did it all for us, that's awesome. So yeah, shout out to him too.
Nah, heck yeah, man. I can't wait. I can't wait for you to see you. I want to see a video of you putting that puzzle together. Boom. When you get it.
I'll do that.
That'd be tight.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Hey, it was a pleasure talking to you, man. This was awesome. Glad we
Yeah, man, for sure.
wrapped up an episode right here. That's dope.
Yeah.
And thank you for taking the time for doing this. And we'll keep us updated with your work. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Sure,
You're doing
man.
a great job.
Of course. Yeah, and thanks for having me too, man.
Yeah, no, my pleasure, man. Hell yeah, anytime.
Right.
So
Nice.
you have a good day, and
Yeah.
we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right, Gavin.
Have a good night. Have a good night.
Thanks, man. Have a good day. Peace.
All right, man. See ya.
All right, late.